Nippers. This week's recipe is going to be brought to you by video because it has another purpose as well as giving you a recipe for this week. This week's recipe is going to be my favorite recipe for cupcakes, and I'm doing this specifically for the Baking Angels. If you don't know who the Baking Angels are, it is a group of about 55 local bakers who are going to volunteer next year to make birthday cupcakes for children who are maybe economically disadvantaged and wouldn't have birthday cupcakes. So if you are a baking angel, you can use a box cake, you can use your favorite recipe, or you can use my favorite recipe. But this is the one that I want to share with you because it is so good. I first want to talk to you about scratch cupcakes. Everybody wants a good scratch recipe because, you know, those of us who are bakery snobs, we want really good quality cake in a cupcake. The thing that you have to remember about a cupcake is it is supposed to be light and moist and fluffy. It is not supposed to be dense and heavy. So just because you can mix up any cake in the whole world in your mixing bowl and put it into some little cups does not mean you're going to get the best cupcake. A lot of people just say, I have to use a box when I do a cupcake, and I agree, because the amount of leavening agent you have in a box is very large compared to what you have in a more dense cake. I'm going to use a cake mix from Aldi, but be sure to check, no matter what brand you choose to use, how many cupcakes this will make. Back in the good old days, you could always get at least 24 cupcakes out of a box, and now you don't get that many. Sometimes you could pick up a box of cake mix that will only produce 12 cupcakes. So this recipe that I'm going to show you starts with a box, but you add lots of other things to it. So I'm doing the classic white cake mix, and to that I'm going to add a cup of flour, a cup of sugar, a stick of butter melted. I did it in the microwave. Yes, I know that I've changed butter now from a cream product to an oil product, but I want an oil product for my cupcakes. A cup of milk, a cup of sour cream, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. If you have your cookie nut measurer, you've got a tablespoon, a teaspoon, a half teaspoon, and a quarter teaspoon. And a teaspoon of cookie nip. Or a little more if you're a fan. The recipe will be in the comments section, so don't try to rush and write it down. Also, I've got eggs. Now, eggs are going to be in every cake, but in this case, I want this cake to be very light and not heavy. So I'm only going to use the egg whites. So I'm just going to separate these. I'm just separating the egg whites because all I want to use is the white part. Now, you can certainly take your egg yolks and make custard or whatever with it, but I'm not going to. All right, so I'm just going to put this in the mixer. And turn it on until it mixes thoroughly. I don't want to beat it to death, but I do want to get all my ingredients incorporated. And that did not take long. Now, when you're making cupcakes for children, one of the most popular things to do is they want funfetti in them. And we have sprinkles to put in this cupcake. Kind of thick. If you were to put this kind of sprinkles in, the little tiny round balls, they're going to melt. and basically it's going to look a mess. But if you have these kind of sprinkles, which are jimmies, I can just empty that in a half cup. And mix it around with my spatula until I have funfetti cupcakes. Now, you do not have to put sprinkles in your cupcakes if you don't want to, but they sure are happy. All right, in this case, I want to make sure that my muffin tins do not overflow. So I am going to try to put the same amount in each cupcake liner. This is a 2-ounce disher, and I will have these available in the online store in about a week. If you don't have one. A lot of us have an ice cream scoop, but an ice cream scoop is much bigger than this. This one's only 2 ounces. So now I'm going to put these in the oven. Okay, once we get these cupcakes out of the oven, we want to go ahead and take them out of this tray, because if you leave them in there, they will continue to cook until the tray cools off. So by just taking them out and putting them on the counter or sitting them on a another pan, you can kind of put a stop to the cooking of the cupcakes. Okay, this is just a matter of preference, but because a cupcake, it's very small and it could get pretty dry, here is a little tip. You take a cup of water and a cup of sugar and a teaspoon of cookie nip and put it in the microwave for 3 minutes and stir it up, and you've got simple syrup. When these cupcakes come out of the oven, while they're still warm, you just dip the crown into the simple syrup, and it will sort of cover that cupcake and kind of keep all the moisture inside of it. Now, some people would argue that they're good enough right now with just the simple syrup. You don't even have to put any frosting on them, but if you're making some for kids, you better not show it without the frosting. That would not be good. After I am done using this, this is the same simple syrup that I pour on my pound cakes. So what I can do is put it in a little squirt bottle and leave it in my refrigerator. But now I'm going to put just a little bit of buttercream. The buttercream recipe is on the same page when you download it. We're just going to put a little frosting on each one. And then I'm going to come back with some sprinkles. Now, this did not take very long to produce, but I will add that even though that box said you get 24 cupcakes, I got 22 cupcakes. And one thing that I know about classroom size, very rarely are there 22 children in a class. Might get lucky at some point, but for the most part, classes have more than 22 children in them. So you may have to take that into consideration if you're a baking angel. So that would be very easy to do, and don't you know that would make somebody very happy on their birthday if their whole class gets birthday